Hi guys, today we are taking a look at the Microflow project. The owner of this project, Jake, has asked me to clean up the authentication and set it up with Facebook. So he's also suggested me to do a screencast and share it with others for free. So thanks, Jake. And let's get started. All right. So before I start on anything, I usually make a to-do file with a list of things which need to be done. So here what we want to do is remove existing authentication packages and set up authentication with the Facebook API. So let's get started. To remove any existing packages, we need to take a look at the mix file. So let's check that out. And if I open it up here, these are the dependencies: Phoenix, Postgres. These are all normal, and Arc is used for uploads. So come on in is a library which allows you to encrypt and hash passwords. So we can leave that. Braintree, XRM, Jazz, Hackney is for sending. It's an HTTP client. JSON, HTTP Poison. So everything looks good. Let me take a look at the Jazz hex package. Hex package. So this is for JSON handling. So nothing to worry there. So I don't see any authentication stuff in the packages. So let's take a look at the web controllers. Right, there's a controller called Auth, which has some code here. Sure, we can remove this. So this is a Git repository, so you can mangle code all you want. You're not gonna break anything and lose any information. So I'm gonna remove this file and look at the home controller. Well, this doesn't seem like it has any authentication stuff. And then there's a session controller, which I'm sure is used for logging in users. So we're gonna remove this, and the success controller, which I'm not sure what this does, but doesn't seem like okay. So it looks like it has something to do with the project. So Microflow is an application which is used to crowdfund projects, and it seems like it's a controller which works with projects. So I'm not going to touch that, or the test controller, or well, this is a user controller. What does this guy do? It says it has an authenticate when action is in index and show, and there is a method called authenticate which has some authentication logic in it. So for now we can I'm just going to put a something which is going to make this fail all the time, so we don't accidentally let this code be in production. So I'm just going to say this stuff needs to be re-implemented. So I'm not gonna straight away yank this out. So for now I'm just gonna put this. So if it accidentally gets triggered, it's gonna fail because of this exception. We don't have a condition here, so if it enters this function, it's always gonna throw this exception. So that's good. I think we're good in controllers. Let's take a look at the models. We have a home model. We shouldn't have a home model. So you know, I should probably remove this. So I'm gonna remove this. Well, it's not really related to authentication, so I'm gonna let it be. Then there's the users model, which is definitely is related to authentication. So it has yeah, okay. So user is a model which has these fields: name, username, password, and password hash, and two timestamps. So this looks good. And one thing which I'm assuming is we just want users to be able to log in via Facebook and not, and we don't want to have uh, multiple authentication schemes for now. So for now, I'm just going to say we'll just do authentication via Facebook, and that's the only way we're going to allow users enter our website, authenticate on our website. So um, let's see. So I'm not going to remove anything here. Let's go to the Facebook documentation and see what it says about authentication. So I'm assuming that's the Facebook authentication documentation. So all right. So yeah, let's actually create an app ID. So I'm gonna say create a new app ID. This is for Microflow test. Microflow test. So this is test version of another app. Yes, it is. Where what let's use for important communication. Okay, so choose a category. App for businesses. Yeah, create an app ID. And all right, let's do this. So yeah, I'm not a bot. All right, so this is creating. Okay, so we want to set up Facebook login. So I'm gonna say use login, client auth login. Yeah, that's all we need. So enable standard OAuth client token flow. This is what we need. And let's see. Yeah, that looks good. Uh, what should we ping when a user deauthorizes your app? So for now, um, all right, let's look at it. OAuth login, yes. I'm not gonna worry about the other stuff. Valid OAuth redirect URIs. So this would be the domain name, the URI, including the domain name. But for now, I'm just gonna ignore that and this, and I'm just gonna save this and what have we got here? Configure platform settings, submit app review if you plan. Okay, and I just want to get my keys. So I have an app ID, right? That's my app ID, and let's see, where can I look at the settings? Yeah, so that's my app ID, and here's my app secret. So those are the two things I need, and I'm gonna copy this, and for now I'm just gonna put it in the config, and so here I'm gonna put this in the Microflow endpoint, and add it as Facebook credentials, right? And it's gonna be a map containing two things. app ID and app secret. And a good way to do this is put these in your environment variables and use it from there instead of hard coding it and exposing it to to the world. So uh, the way you get an environment variable in Elixir is say system dot get environment variable, right? And if you look at the documentation, it says just give it the name of the environment variable. So I'll say get environment variable fb app id and the same for app secret. So app secret. Now I just need to make sure that these two are available in my environment. So I'm gonna open up my bash file and and copy this to the bash file. So I'm gonna do that off screen so that you guys can't see my um, I don't remember my password. So anyway, I'll get this and pause my video for a second and set up the FBID and app ID and secret. All right, I've done that. Now I have the FB app ID and app secret in my environment. So yeah, just take my word for it, okay? Because I'm not gonna show the app ID and secret here. So anyway, what have we done? We've configured the secrets so that they're extracted from the environment and not hard coded. So that's a good thing we've done. And what else? So that's the first thing we do. And once we do that, we need to so all right, so let's take a step back and see what we need to do. We need to remove the auth packages. We've done that, and we need to set up authentication on Facebook. So the way OAuth usually works is our app. So a user comes to our application, right, via the browser, right, and they click on the login via Facebook link or login via GitHub link, and as soon as they do that, we send them to Facebook or GitHub or Twitter, whatever third party uh, OAuth server we are using for authentication. And then if Facebook asks them if they trust our website, right? So here at this point they are on Microflow, and here they're still on Microflow, and now Facebook asks them, are you okay with Microflow um, knowing your email? And if the user says, yeah, I'm good with that, just go ahead and tell them who I am, and then Facebook sends the user to Microflow with some kind of an encrypted token. So now Microflow, which is us, we can take this token and send another request to Facebook in the background and make sure that this guy is who this guy says he is. And so when we do this, we also get other information like email, maybe the location. So we can get whatever we want from Facebook, but Facebook asks the user about the scope of what we can get when they approve our website. So that's all that we can get. So anyway, at this point, uh, we at this point, from our backend, we send a request to Facebook with this encrypted token, and get the user's email and location. And at this point, we know for sure that this guy is for real, and he's a valid guy. He has the authentication, and he's not someone who's pretending to be another guy. So at this point, we can log log in the user log the user in as as what he says he is. So this will be clearer once we actually start implementing this. So the easiest way to do this is use an existing authentication library in our programming language, and let's take a look at the available libraries uh, in Elixir. Facebook Elixir Authentication. So if you take a look at that, yeah, so UberAuth is a very nice set of libraries which helps you integrate with different services like GitHub, uh, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. So what we need to do is add these dependencies, right? So we can read the documentation and set up these dependencies. So that's what I'm gonna do. Add UberAuth, right? So let's add that as a dependency. So I'm gonna open up Mix and add that as a dependency and add it as an application on the top. So UberAuth, yeah, that looks good. And once we've done that, we need to get the dependencies, make sure we've downloaded them. Yeah, all dependencies are up to date, that's good. Now we need to set up the configuration. So we just need the Facebook provider. So let's set up that. So go to config.exs and whoa. So hey Jake, you need to reset the Braintree IDs because these are exposed in our source code. So just make sure that you reset them through the Braintree interface. So it's not a good idea to hard code any kind of keys in your code. Just put them in your environment and get them like this. Okay, otherwise it's going to be a problem. So anyway, let me delete this, and option 1. So Facebook needs two things: the app ID and actually I'm gonna just get this from here, and that should do it, and remove this. So we'll just directly wire up UberAuth, and this is good. What else? Alright, now we need to set up an Auth Controller. Alright, let's see. So it says we need an Auth Controller which uses the UberAuth plug, and we don't want to customize the paths. Alright, let's do that. So the documentation here is a bit sparse. Okay, so let's read it from the top. UberAuth is a two-phase authentication framework, right? Yep. Initial authentication challenge. Okay, so the two phases are request and callback are implemented as strategies. So let's take a look at the strategies. Look at the Facebook strategy. Alright, so here it says we need even this dependency, so we'll add that in our mix dependencies. So add it there, and make sure we get the dependencies and add it to the applications, right? So add Uber Auth Facebook to our applications and provide the proper configuration, right? So we need this and this, so I'm just going to copy these two and go to our config file. So that's one of our strategies, and so FB, alright, no autocomplete for you. So I'm just setting this up, and we can delete this. So what we've done is we've said, by reading the documentation, we've said Uber Auth, the providers I want to use are Facebook and only Facebook, and the Facebook OAuth configuration is this. It has this client ID and this client secret, right? And include it in your controller. So we'll create a controller called web controllers auth controller based on the documentation, right? So dev module auth controller, but with the microflow prefix, and every controller needs to have a using controller statement, and it also needs, based on the document, it also needs the Uber Auth plug inserted into it, right? Alright, now that we have that, it says you need to create the request and callback routes. Okay, so we'll add these, well, we'll add the whole thing. So scope auth pipe through browser, right? Yeah, this looks good, right? Nothing weird in this. So what we are doing is we're just defining a new scope and saying if the URL has a prefix of auth, then use these set of routes. And there are just two routes here. One says if you get a request with this pattern, get provider, and use the auth controller's request action. So I'm assuming the Uber Auth plug provides us with that, and then it says if it is provider slash callback, then use the callback action, which I'm assuming Uber Auth provides too. So once we have done that, it says needs to implement the callbacks to deal with these responses. So let's not worry about that for now, and let's start our application, right? let's start our application. So mix Phoenix server. Well, I haven't even set up the database yet. So could go to dev and it says okay. So mix ecto create, and once that's done, I'll do the migration and go to and start the server. All right, so let's see. So here, if you see, it says it talks about scope, right? So when I said earlier, Facebook, when you send the user to Facebook, you even send the scope to Facebook. You tell Facebook, I need email, the public profile, and the friends of this guy. So Facebook then asks the user, hey, are you okay with me sharing these things with this application? Do you trust this application with this information? So for this application, I think just the email should be enough, because we just need to authenticate the user. So let's see, there are a few compilers. Project controller line number 3 could not be found. Well, project view router helpers is not loaded. So let's see. I'm going to take the last one. So parallel compiler home controller line number 3. So let's go there. Home controller line number 3, and nothing weird there. And home view, web view, nothing seems off to me. Okay, it says home controller line number 3 router is not loaded and could not be found. Microflow router helpers. So I'm assuming this is something to do with the routes. So let's take a look at the route and see if we messed it up. The router, this guy, the router. So is there something wrong here? Yeah, okay, I see a few things which may not be present at the moment. So it says plug. So the pipeline browser accepts HTML, session, flash. This is the normal stuff, and then here it says it uses the auth plug. We don't have that, so I'm going to comment that out and try it once again, right? So yeah, it seems like it compiled now, and it even created our database. Now we need to migrate the database, and we have done that, and let's start the server, right? So finally start the server. Okay, so it says we haven't done npm install. We'll do that, but it shouldn't really stop us from using the application. So localhost 4000. Okay, it's starting on port 8080, and current user is not available in app.html, so we need to go there and current user. Whoa. So yeah, I'm just gonna remove this code here and this navigation here and this thing here. Yeah, and that, right? So I'm also gonna do a search for current user. It doesn't seem like we have any matches. Well, there are a few matches. Let's see. So I'm just gonna use act to do the searching and yeah, so that doesn't seem harmful. Yeah, steps. Alright, so I don't think we need to worry about this. Right, so everything looks good. And awesome, now we can actually see the application. And let's go back to UberAuth, and UberAuth says we've set up the route so that /auth/Facebook should take us to the Facebook authentication. And here it says undefined function auth controller init, and auth controller is not available. What's going on? So let's see, did we not define the auth controller? Yeah, I think yeah, it's not just auth controller, it is Microflow dot auth controller, right? So the full name. Awesome. So if you see from our earlier uh, documentation, we, you know what, yeah, so we went to the applications route and it redirected us to the Facebook page. So it says can't load URL, the domain isn't included in the app's domains. So again, so when we configured Facebook's app, we ignored the Facebook's whitelisted domains. Now it says this domain doesn't look good, so we need to add this domain. And what's the domain we're using? We're using localhost, so we need to add localhost to the Facebook's accepted domain list. So I'm gonna go to Facebook Microflow settings. Okay, so I'm actually gonna stop here